Hi, welcome back to Pain and Revival Podcast. Hope everyone's having a great day. Today, I have a very special guest, Jenna Quentin. She is a marketing thingy. Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah,
really. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. And yes, every day when I'm like, what is it that I do? That's pretty much like, yeah, I tell stories. So,
I love that. So today you're going to tell your story, and when we kind of talked about what you were going to talk about, you said something about a room, and I was very confused. I was like, "Wait, is she meaning an actual room or is this like, a metaphor?" And she's meaning an actual room. So, let's go ahead and get into what your room is about.
yes. So it's this room that I'm standing in. So when my husband and I bought this house, it was a big deal for us. We had two children. We had moved from France to the US. We bought our first house, which, is a big dream. A young couple, two kids. It was like, we would love to have a permanent place to live. So we bought this wonderful house. And this room, it was like, oh, that would be a great nursery, a great baby's room. And then it was okay, I'm gonna breathe. It was 2014, and it was like, all right, now we're ready to have our third baby, but it wasn't happening. And then I was pregnant and miscarried. I went to church like normal, still my first trimester, and then realized like something's the matter and lost that baby. And so it kind of this room became like the empty spot in my heart, you know, where it was like not just emotionally empty, but this room was empty. Like we didn't need it for anything else. Like what
Mhm.
were we going to do with this big house? And so one thing that I did that I'm a hoarder a little bit, an emotional hoarder. So I keep things. So I wrote these words in marker and put them around the baseboards of this empty room. And so that whenever I would come in here, I would immediately see something. So some of the things were celebrate before the answer, which is kind of like, I'm not going to celebrate before I have another baby, you know?
Right.
Um, one was invite life. Um, and another was trust abundance. And this was really weird for me. Like, I hadn't really understood the word abundance, I hadn't been around the word abundance. So I kind of, this was an odd concept, and I had to kind of keep looking at it. I don't even know why I wrote it down, you know? So in that waiting, um, those were some of the words that I used, like physically in this room to remind myself, like um this is hurting right now,
Mhm.
but trusting abundance, trusting life, that God was going to fill this room somehow. So I had another miscarriage at Thanksgiving, and I was like, really, God?
Right.
Like, you stand up from Thanksgiving dinner, and I was like, oh, something's not right. So, I still, every Thanksgiving, I'm kind of like, Thanksgiving's a happy holiday. Thanksgiving's a happy holiday, you
Mhm.
know? And I don't know if you've experienced this, Nevaeh, where you want something and all of a sudden that's all you can see around you.
Yeah.
Like everybody has it.
Mhm.
And it's like just such a big crucial part of your life that you're focusing on, but you can't even focus on like healing because you keep seeing
Yeah.
like babies are everywhere.
Mhm.
And so many of my friends were having babies right then. Um, so, even now, that was 2014. So all of those babies are turning 8. No, they are turning 9.
Mm.
No, wait, that was 2014. They're turning 10.
Oh.
Um, all those babies are turning 10. So I still look around at them and I'm like, look at that cutie.
Mhm.
Um, but one thing, so in Dynamic Essentials, where we met,
Mhm.
a lot of times we hear people say, like, lose yourself in service. Well, in 2014, I really didn't have a community telling me good things like that. And I was um, just trying to feel my way through, like, what do I do right now? Like, I'm so sad. I'm so lost. What do I do? And the answer that really came was that I needed to serve my friends who were having babies. Um, and it was kind of a tricky thing. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes I have to check my motivation. Like,
Mhm.
am I doing this to say, like, God, look, I'm being
Right.
so good. Like,
Yeah.
can I have something back? And
Mhm.
I was like, oh man, that's not okay. But it was really like, can I just pour so much love into my friends with babies right now? And so that meant like like almost literally in my head and heart, it was like everybody who has a baby, I'm taking them dinner, and I'm gonna coo over that newborn and just give them love.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do a baby shower. I'm gonna, do these things. Um, and it was a very interesting season of just kind of like opening my heart that hurt so much. Um, so yeah, and then God is so gracious and gave me 2 babies. So I have
Oh,
Alex was born in 2016 and Teo was born in 2018. And so I spent a lot of time in this room with them, like getting them up in the morning and, taking care of them at night and changing them. And this room was, the baby room, and they're the cutest. Um,
mhm.
I'm sure sometime you'll meet them, but like they're the most full of life, like crazy little animals. It's fantastic.
Wow. That's so great. There's lots of plot twists in your story, if I'm being honest, but, it's just amazing what innate can do, like, you were so like, you just knew. It was like, you didn't even know you knew, but you knew that that room was meant for something, and you knew what it was meant for, and you didn't even know, and you c you lost hope, I have to imagine, and I kinda get that, but how did you gain that hope back? Did you gain the hope back?
Well, so birth is a really cool thing. I think that mothers are reborn with a birth, and we, have choice in the matter of whether we choose to intentionally make that a positive rebirth with our child. And unfortunately, that's just a hard thing. So having Alex in 2016 was a rebirth. Oh, I took it down. Anyway, I had a little quote that said, like, hope smiles at this year and says, like, this will be a brighter year or something. And actually, then it was a bad year, the year that Alex was born, because then my dad died suddenly.
Mm,
He was a healthy 52-year-old. He was hiking with us in Colorado, and he just died of a heart attack. So so then I was there with this baby. I don't remember how old he was. I was there with this baby, like, God gives and takes away? Well, I don't like that equation.
right.
Like, I don't I would just like the good things.
Mhm,
Um, and so through through that, one thing that really happened was, and I thought about this before we talked, because I used words
mhm,
before Alex was born. Well, and then after dad, I was like, I lost my words. It was like I wasn't sure I was going to come back from that. And I just lost my words. I couldn't write. I spent a couple years not writing, which is super weird for me. Um, and so what I started doing was lists of words. And so I kind of keep coming back to using words and using service. So for my dad, like for his even his funeral bulletin, whatever they call them, I just did lists of words. I just said Jesus, goldfish, like just listed out the words.
right.
And for a while, and I still, whenever I'm like, oh my gosh, like my heart is closed, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I can't do anything, I'm like, well, then you better grab a book and a pen, and you better write a list of words.
Mhm,
um, and that's something that I've used a lot. And what's really cool then about this room
mhm,
that ties all of this together is now in this closet right here, I store the memories of my dad.
right.
So his clothes and books and things. So God filled it in a way of the things that remind me of my dad, they're here in this room with me for this time being. And then this room is filled with adjuster media. So
Mhm.
after the babies, God filled it with more service and more words.
Yeah. So, what's your advice to someone who has just lost basically in the same situation as you, and let's say they have a hypothetical room that they're trying to fill, and it's their heart, and they have a hole in their heart, and they don't know how to fill it because no one ever taught them. No one, I think that mothers, even females, just as who we are, that we don't ever expect to lose a child. That's not, it happens and you hear about it, but it's not something you're like, oh, that might happen to me. It's like, it probably won't, you know? So that's such an unexpected thing, I feel like, even though it's so common,
Hmm.
but how do you deal with that? How do you fill that hole? Did
Yeah,
like it's not really like because filling the hole is if you just your whole life, if you're just trying to fill this hole, it's not going to get filled.
right.
It doesn't work. Trust me, I know. I've tried to fill so many holes and I'm like, it's not working. And that leads to addiction. That's why people become like drug addicts and alcoholics
Mhm.
because they're trying to fill a hole inside of them that it can't be filled because they're not going to the right sources. So what do you think is the right source as a mother who lost a child and then just lost her father?
Yeah. Um, so my like sympathetic nervous system response is always freeze.
Mhm.
Um, and it's funny, like we have a bunch of snow on the ground right now, and it's such a so I get that where it's like there is this hole, and I just felt so frozen, like I couldn't even cry, like
Yeah.
no more tears, like just frozen, and realizing that like love is the only thing that opens our hearts again. Love is the sunshine that melts that freeze away, and filling our hearts with love is always a good choice. And so I think that if someone um like look for love, look for where you can fill your heart with love is always a good choice. And that can be like love of a pet, where you're snuggling that little dog and you're just like, ah, I feel this love. And you take a moment to just like fill up. Or, maybe it's you take dinner to somebody and they're like, oh man, thank you, this was so helpful, and you take a moment and you let that love, you just say it's my pleasure. You don't go, oh well, I mean, it's a little burnt, or it's just a salad.
Right.
No, you just take a minute and you let that love fill you up. So any way that you find love, and I mean not just like, oh, go find a relationship, but like find the moments of love where you orange juice. So every time I drink orange juice, I think, oh, this tastes like sunshine. Any of those small moments where you're like, I love orange juice.
Right.
And this is just those moments in life where you can just let yourself be filled back up with love. And I think we find that, like, it's been a recent thing for me to find breath work and to be like, oh man, I can literally just breathe and fill back up with love. Um, I think those things, service is also a great response for me. Um, I'm not sure if it's always um, a helpful thing for everybody, because service can, um, like, we can twist it into hustling and working and just being so busy, like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm just serving away, I'm just so busy, and that you're not actually like, I think about yeah, how many times when I've been in pain that I'm just like, well, I'm not going to sit in this. I'm going to go find some work to do. So
Right.
not working, but finding the love and finding the service
Yeah.
has been helpful for me, and I'm
Right.
still working on it.
Yeah, I think that it's a never-ending process of healing and just like for any situation. Like my situation is different than yours, very different, but there's still the aspect of like I have to heal and someone I loved dearly and you loved your child that you don't have that child and you never met him, but you love that child
Mm,
and you lost it. And it's the same for me. Like, I loved my family, and then I kind of lost it.
mm,
And that's something that's really hard to even that's something hard to explain. It's something so, like, there's no words for it. Like, it's just you don't even know what to say. It's so hard, and it's so expected but unexpected. And I like, when people ask me advice, I'm like, I really don't know. Like, just love yourself. Like, I think that's a big part of it too, is like, if you don't love yourself, you can't expect love from other people, and you can't receive love because you like, with me, I'm very hard on myself and I'm very down on myself. And when people give me a compliment, instead of just going, "Oh, thank you," I'm like, "Oh, well, this is wrong," and it's like, just say thank you and move
yes.
on. Like, accept that. And I struggle with that. And when people tell me, like, "Oh, you're so pretty," I'm like, "Yeah, but this is wrong with me too." And I don't know why I do that, but it's something that I need to work on. And I think it's because I don't love myself. And so I don't see what they're seeing. And I'm like, "What are you talking about? You're crazy."
Mhm,
But
mhm.
that's not, it's an opinion thing? So loving yourself I think that's a big part of, I'm not a mom, so I've never lost a child, but um I think that would help a lot too, is just loving yourself and realizing that it's not your fault. There's nothing you could have done that would have changed the outcome of the situation. And try and just look for the light in it.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like a lot of people, when they lose someone they love or a child, they don't look for the light in the situation, and it's like, I know it's hard because you just lost something so special, but you have to find the love. Like, you have to find the light in the situation, and for me, that's where God comes into play. It's like,
Mm.
he's my light, and I know that he will never leave me. No matter who leaves me, he will never leave. So, what's your light? Is it God? Is it something else?
No, definitely God, and I definitely see, how many things God has created that it's both sides.
Mhm.
That for whatever reason, he's created this balance of where we can say death and loss is absolutely horrible and we don't wish it on anybody, and there's hope and light. Like
Mm,
they're both together, where life is brutal and beautiful. And that's something that I think God has been teaching me, is using the and instead of saying but. Like life is brutal, but it's also beautiful. It doesn't have the same meaning, like in my words, to say and. Like, yes, that baby that I lost that summer of 2014 was Bastille Day, which is a French holiday, the 14th. And now, even as we're talking, I'm realizing, like, oh, it's going to be the 10-year anniversary. I'm probably going to have to prepare my heart in advance.
mhm.
Like maybe take that weekend off, you
Right.
know?
Ugh.
Maybe. But definitely the things um where I reach out for journaling, where it sometimes in like spoken prayer or quiet prayer, I get distracted and I'm like, I'm gonna email them back. And it's like, oh, you are you talking to God or are you talking to yourself now?
Right.
So journaling is something, whether it's rants or prayers. I know that God sees it, and it's a helpful thing for me to say, I can find the light a little bit better when I get to the end of the page. And I'm like, and everything is all is well, you
Right.
know? That
Yeah.
I can come back to a sense of meaning and purpose and light.
Yeah. I mean, I have a tendency to do that as well. Like, I love that. I'm gonna start using that. And yeah. So I'm like, I feel like people perceive me as being very ungrateful because of the way that I share my story, and I'm like, almost like I want pity, but I don't. Don't give me that. But, but I feel like that's the way I put it out there, and I never acknowledge the fact that, hey, like, my life is good, and I'm thankful for what happened to me, and I think that everyone can be thankful for what happened to them no matter what it was, no
Yes.
matter how painful it was, no matter how many things happened at one time, no matter what it is, you can still be thankful that it happened, and it doesn't make you a bad person. Like, I know that's something
Mhm.
I struggled with. I don't know about you, but I always thought, I'm like, if you move on from this, like, that's bad. Like, you're a bad person, but you're not. And it's actually normal. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to move on from things because it's in the past. I've said this
Mhm.
before, but like, I don't read my books backwards. So don't. Like, don't
Mhm.
do it with your life because if you do that, you're just going to be so stuck in the past and you're going to never move forward and nothing's ever going to come of yourself. And then you're going to be sitting there when you're 50 years old or, 70, and you're going to be like, nothing ever came of my life. And
Mhm.
then you wonder why.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of it when I think about, like, specifically, the miscarriage is if I had that baby, I wouldn't have been pregnant with Alex.
Mhm.
Like, that's just I wouldn't have been pregnant with Alex then. So, having Alex, um, like, I'm like, I see you, God. You wanted to give me this kid. I wish that I could have had them both. You
Yeah.
know? Um, and there is that and of saying like, yes, I am grateful that I got Alex because Alex is awesome. Alex is 100% gonna change the world. We're probably gonna vote for him for president. Um, he's just a really dynamic 100 he's either 100% on, 100% off. He's either doing it or not at all,
I
and
love
he
that.
will not budge.
Yeah.
So, it's like, yeah, I wanted how grateful can I be that I got to bring this person into the world? And it came through pain and expense, but also it means that I prayed over that kid.
Mhm.
And I think that that gives him a special, um, I don't know if it's a special commission or benediction, but it's like, I searched for you. I searched for you and called for you and you came.
Yeah.
So like that's got to be a powerful person.
Yeah. And I mean, like, also something that I just want parents to know in general is, like, you never know who your child is gonna be. Like, your child might be the next future president, or they might be the next therapist who's gonna save, like,
Mm,
so many people from, like, suicide or all this other stuff, and it's just like, I don't know, but, like, I don't in my opinion, I don't think that parents acknowledge that a lot of time. I feel like some people, mine specifically, need to, like not my grandparents, but, like, my mom and stuff, like, they need to be like, "Wait, she might change the world one day.
mhm,
I may or may not, but I might. There's that possibility, and if you raise your child up poorly, then it's your fault on why they could never be the future president or be whatever it was that they were meant to be. Because I truly believe that everyone's born with this greater, you know, purpose and they have this mission that they're supposed to accomplish. And not everyone's going to be able to accomplish that because of the way that they were brought up. Not saying that should hold you back because I just realized that was worded really poorly, but it shouldn't hold you back, but it can because
mhm.
your brain capacity isn't big enough. You're not
Yeah,
thinking outside of the box, and you don't
yeah.
know how to be like, "Oh, well, I can achieve anything I want." Luckily for me, I was surrounded by DE people and my grandparents, and now I do think, like, I could literally fly to the moon if I wanted to. I'm that, like, crazy, but, like, it's good to be that crazy because that
Mhm,
means you're gonna shoot higher. You're also going to fail lower. The higher you shoot, the more it's gonna hurt because you're gonna be reaching for something way up here, and you're way down here, and then it's gonna come way back down here, and it's gonna hurt.
mhm,
But it is what it is. You have to get over that, and parents don't realize that your child might be the next, you know, Trump. I don't know. Like, you never know, and just be thankful and be grateful. I feel like a lot of parents aren't grateful for their children. Um,
Mhm.
I think a lot of them are, but I think it's kind of like a halfway thing that some people aren't, and it breaks my heart, especially hearing stories like yours where it's like you wanted that child so bad, and someone out there has a child, and they're like, "Well, okay." It's like,
I think
"Really?"
it comes down to worldview. I think that if we don't value the human soul, if we don't understand that this is a powerful expression of love, that this is without them doing anything, right? A baby doesn't have to do anything to
Mm,
be of value
right,
on earth, right? That
right,
baby can smile at me at Target and my day is made.
mhm,
Like they
right,
don't have to do anything, they just are. And if people don't have that worldview of valuing um, the immortal soul and this expression of life, then they can't be grateful. They can't. They don't know. They're just like, "Yep, I'm also grateful for frogs and dogs," and, you know? Um, and I think even, and I'm always like, how does this stack up biblically?" But I wonder about the babies that are born into difficult situations, Like, those are courageous little souls that are like, send me, that are like, hey, I've got this. And I think that it's equally like the children that are prayed for and loved and called forth, and the ones that are born into difficult situations and rise like little baby phoenixes, you know, that those are powerful, courageous, loving souls, whether they, knew that they were coming into a difficult situation or not, like you are. And so
mhm,
then, yes, that makes like each story being so amazing, whether that child, works at the grocery store for the rest of their life, but makes people happy,
right,
you know? And whether they were, just that we each get to keep writing this story. Um, and like we maybe didn't choose the beginning, but each chapter it's like, okay, day 300 and 67, what are we going to write today?
right.
And that's the choice that each of us has. And I'll tell you what, I woke up this morning with a headache and being like, I'm not gonna do today, thank you very
Yeah,
much. But it's like, yeah, but we can still do our best.
mhm, yeah. I mean, I feel like I worded that wrong a minute ago, but you can, yeah, if you were, it doesn't matter where you work. It doesn't matter who you are, what your name is, because when I look at you, I don't care what you do, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
Um, as long as you have a good heart and your energy is right, um, I'm gonna love you, and I'm gonna love you either way. Even if you are a little crazy, I'm gonna be like, "Okay, I love you, but from a distance, let's
yeah, yeah.
keep it a little." But it's just it's a matter of perspective, and
Mm.
I think some people just don't believe in themselves enough, and I'm one of them. Like, I don't believe in myself all that much, but I kinda just tell myself that's my motto is I'm like, "Get over it. Doesn't matter. Really doesn't." Um, so I don't know if that's good or not. That might be something I should talk about with my therapist, but
Yeah, the I heard something that's been helping me in that sense that, I think it was Dr. Stu Bittman said things, um, things have the importance that we assign to them. So it's like, okay, what importance do I want to assign to this?
yeah.
Like my husband said I had a tone the other day and I
Mhm.
wasn't pleasant. And I was
Yeah.
like, ooh,
Yeah.
like, would you like to see how unpleasant I could be? And
Right.
it's like, okay, this does not matter, right?
Mhm.
I'm not going to assign importance to this.
Yeah.
I'm going to get over it.
I love that. Yeah, it really does matter what you sign importance to because, like, in marriage, I'm not married, but, like, clearly I'm 13, but, like, if you are in a marriage, like, you have to pick and choose your battles because the person's gonna make you mad lots of times, and if you just get so worked up over that one single time every single day, it's gonna create a big break in between you guys, and then you're gonna get a divorce. But if you're just like you said, you're just like, "You know what? That's okay. It's fine. It doesn't even matter. It's okay." Like,
Mm.
some things don't matter as much as we put as much as we think it does, and it'll be
Yeah.
like the littlest thing, and I'm guilty, very guilty.
Mhm.
Um,
And
and
that's
it's
even like like taking dinner to somebody. It had importance because I assigned importance to it.
Mhm,
I assigned importance as this is an act of love. The words are not magic. These are
right,
not magical baby making words.
right,
They had importance because of the importance that I assigned to them, that these words would be my lifeline back to hope, you
right.
know? So, yeah, like list making or journaling, like it's not magic, but it has the importance that we assign to it of if it is helpful to us or not.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a good way to end off. I think this is amazing. Like, I love this episode. This is so just, I don't know, it was magic. But thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. That took a lot of courage, and I really appreciate it. So, yeah, make sure everybody tunes in to next week's episode. And yeah, thank you so much for coming
Oh,
on.
thank you so much for having me. I'm really proud of you. This is an amazing platform you've created.
Thank you. All right. Bye.